asking for advice and not taking it. Today we explore the idea behind the why. We ask for help, we look for advice, but then do the thing we were gonna do anyways. Roll it. Welcome back to another video. An interesting topic that a lot of us deal with every single day. It's that moment where we ask for advice, we ask for help, and instead of really sitting down to take that all in and execute what we're supposed to be doing, well, we just go do what we were gonna be doing anyways. The idea here is that when we go out to seek this help or advice or guidance, instruction on what to do, we have to be present in the moment to be able to receive this. In the last several videos, I've talked about many things when looking for the right people to get that help we need. In this video, it's just gonna confirm some of the things we go through when asking for help. So if this is your first time here, my name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com, where we strive each and every day to put out a video that will get our viewers moving in the right direction. So at the end of this video, hit a subscribe, go back and watch the rest of the series to really get your mind thinking about the different things you have been doing, the things you kind of wanted to be doing, and how to mesh it all together to get moving in the right direction. So to not make this a super long video, we're gonna look at the first aspect of this, and it's the why. And just like in these other videos, we always go first to the person who's gonna tell us exactly what we want to hear. This is a primal instinct. This is what we do. You know, we do it from children. We wanna call mom. We wanna go to mom whenever something happens. You know, we wanna go to dad. We need that help. And then after that, we start calming down, emotions settle as we start to hear everything we need to hear. Eventually, we start to get older and we need to meet people that are gonna give us different viewpoints. We see our parents' viewpoint, but then we start to look at the friends that have jumped in the picture. We get our teachers, we get our colleagues as we go through into working environments, and you know, eventually we settle down to the people we've been collaborating with and growing a strong relationship with. What we really want to be looking at is the why behind our emotions. So when you're asking yourself, why do people always give me advice but I don't take it? Or when you're giving advice and you're asking, why do people not take my advice when they give it to them? I think we've all been there too. We have to look at it from a primal instinct, and we also have to look at it from the value that's being provided, and not the actual value of what's given, but the perception the person who's getting the advice sees this advice as. See, it's all in their mind, and they're trying to make up the narrative as they see it. The perception is created based on this emotion. So the emotions are in control, not what the logic should be. You could be giving the greatest advice ever, but this narrative isn't being fulfilled. This is why people go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the same scenario before they actually learn from their mistakes. And those mistakes are really based on the emotion, being able to control the emotion, understanding that this is repeated loop of continually doing the same mistakes over and over and over. A great example of this is when you give somebody advice on, say, the stock market, and they've repeatedly done the same thing where they ask for advice, you tell them to hold, fear takes over, they sell, they regret because they didn't hold. This is just one of the many things that we go through, and this could be anything from relationships to work to business to any kind of investments, you name it. It always is the same scenario. Looking at the whole thing from a perspective of relationships in general, when we're giving advice to somebody, the one thing you'll realize is that at the beginning of the relationship, there is more trust. Somebody has met you, you have met them, there's more conversation, there's this inspiration that you've met somebody great who has all their, stuff handled, and they know inside out how to be real, and they give great advice, and you take the advice, and the respect is high. However, as the relationship progresses, this respect value starts to drop. This is because as we start to grow and the relationship starts to grow, we get to know the other person more and more. If you ever ask yourself, why do certain people in your life you know, they ask for your advice and you give it to them and they take it right away, but then all of a sudden, a few years later, they're not taking it at all, or heck, they might not even be asking you. It's because they've seen you go through similar stuff. Your value in what you're saying is not as high, and then you're left wondering why. Is this a bad thing? Not necessarily, because growth is occurring. There's growth in the relationship. A good example of this is when a child turns into a teenager and the mom and dad know nothing about life. They're out trying to prove them wrong and they're seeking advice elsewhere. The reality is that they're teenagers. This is a normal process in life. But as parents, it's hard to understand that, even though everybody's been through it. And as they get older and they get married and then they have kids, all of a sudden the parents are back in the picture and the advice is needed 100%. Because who knows more than mom? Who knows more than dad? But really it's about mom, because she's the go-to, especially when it's about kids. Lastly, fear plays an important role in all of this. When people give us advice and we're too scared to act on the advice, we have to remember that when somebody is telling us to do something, it's our choice and it's our reasoning that makes or breaks that opportunity that exists. When I give advice to somebody, I'm not expecting them to go just do it without thinking. It's their own reasoning, and there's two things there. There's the logic side and the fear side. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes people that we really love and respect and admire will tell us something that is very scary to do. Like breaking up with somebody because they're no good for us, and they keep telling us we'll be fine, there's always somebody else out there. But in our head, when we see this person that we know is making sense and they're right, we know that we can't match up to what they're saying. This is the same thing to be with business, when it comes to careers, when it comes to life stuff in general. And then you sit there and you wonder, why is this person doing such a great job with everything they do in life? Meanwhile, we're struggling. And it's all based on fear. Many times I've had the comment where they're like, you know, I'm not as strong as you. I can't do that. I can't take those risks on business like you do. And excuses follow. I can't really sit there and actually, you know, blame anybody for having any kind of fear. This is why you get options, many options of what you're trying to achieve from the dilemma you have, and you pick the best case scenario that fits that moment in your life that makes sense. Because being pressured to do something that you are scared to do, that fear is driving it, and it's not coming from a place of love, turns out to be more often than not a bad thing. My name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com. If you liked the video, hit a like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know when was the last time you talked with an old friend that you took advice on the first try, in comparison to somebody you thought you could always get advice but haven't been able to for a long time, and what do you think that is? And of course, share this video with anybody who you think could find value.
Snow, yeah.